Mr. Anderson, we need you to clear out your desk. Your access has been terminated. You won't break me. Get your things and leave. Pathetic.
Monique Harris stood with her arms folded near the reception desk. Should have learned to stay in his lane, she muttered. Curtis Bell chuckled loud enough for everyone to hear. I told y'all that quiet dude wasn't built for this place. Someone in the back pulled out a phone. Oh, this going on TikTok. The young man kneeling to pick up his belongings didn't rush. He calmly picked up the cracked coffee mug. Then the picture frame. It showed him standing beside an older gentleman in front of a small brick building. Both were smiling. He brushed a little dust off the frame before placing it carefully back inside the box. The guard leaned closer. You good? The young man nodded. I'm good. You ain't mad? He smiled. Nah. That answer confused everybody. Usually people cried, or argued, or begged. He did none of those. He simply picked up the box, turned toward the revolving door, and walked out. Behind him, laughter echoed through the lobby. Monique smiled to herself. Finally, she had been trying to get rid of him for weeks. As the glass doors closed behind him, the young man looked back at the towering headquarters of Easton Freight Solutions. A slow smile crossed his face. Everything had happened exactly the way he hoped. If you're the kind of person who believes what's done in the dark always comes to light, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. You're going to want to stay until the very end of this one. 3 months earlier, nobody noticed the quiet man walking into Easton Freight Solutions wearing a plain gray polo shirt, black slacks, and a visitor badge clipped to his belt. No expensive watch. No designer shoes. No flashy car. He parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance. At the security desk, the receptionist barely looked up. Name? Isaiah Brooks. She handed him a temporary badge. 14th floor. Operations. Thank you. The elevator ride was quiet. When the doors opened, phones rang from every direction. Printers hummed. People rushed between cubicles carrying folders and laptops. Nobody welcomed him. Nobody smiled. A woman with sharp glasses looked up from her computer. You the temp? Yes, ma'am. She didn't even stand. I'm Monique Harris. She pointed toward an empty cubicle. Sit there. That was it. No tour. No introductions. No handshake. Just work. Within 5 minutes, a thick stack of reports landed on his desk. Curtis Bell walked over carrying another pile. You got lucky. Isaiah looked up. How's that? Curtis grinned. Monique likes you already. The office laughed. Isaiah glanced at the stack. What is all this? Curtis shrugged. 3 weeks of overdue inventory reports. You serious? Nope. Curtis smiled wider. It's actually 6 weeks. More laughter. Isaiah simply nodded. I'll get started. Curtis frowned. No attitude? No reason for one. He walked away disappointed. By lunchtime, Isaiah had already organized the reports into categories. He built a spreadsheet that automatically flagged missing inventory numbers. Angela Brooks, who worked 2 desks away, noticed first. She leaned over. You made that already? Yeah. You know we've been trying to fix that report for almost a month? It just needed a different layout. Angela blinked. You knew for real? He smiled. For real. Before she could ask another question, Angela! Monique's voice cut across the room. You getting paid to work or gossip? Angela quickly turned back to her computer. Sorry. Monique walked over and picked up Isaiah's spreadsheet. She stared at it. Her eyebrows lifted for half a second before her face went cold again. You did this? Yes. She placed it back down. Next time, don't change company formatting without approval. I thought. I didn't ask what you thought. The room became quiet. Isaiah nodded. Understood. Monique walked away. Curtis laughed. Told you. Later that afternoon, Monique walked into the conference room carrying Isaiah's spreadsheet. The department director happened to be visiting. What do we have today? He asked. Monique smiled confidently. My team and I developed a faster reporting system. Isaiah heard every word from outside. Angela slowly looked toward him. So, he nodded. It's okay. No, it ain't okay. It's information. What does that even mean? It tells me everything I need to know. Angela stared at him. You, different. Across the room, an older employee named Leonard quietly smiled without looking up from his keyboard. After work, Leonard caught Isaiah near the elevator. You got a minute? Sure. The older man looked around before speaking. You seem smart. I try. Then let me save you some trouble. Isaiah listened. Leonard lowered his voice. Don't outshine Curtis. Isaiah frowned. Why? Because if you make him look bad. Leonard paused. Monique gonna make your life miserable. You speaking from experience? Leonard gave a tired laugh. 28 years. Isaiah nodded slowly. Thank you. Leonard shook his head. Don't thank me. He stepped into the elevator. Just survive. The doors closed. Isaiah remained standing there for several seconds. Survive. That wasn't a word anyone should associate with coming to work. The next morning, things became worse. Isaiah arrived 20 minutes early. Curtis arrived almost 40 minutes late carrying breakfast. He dropped a greasy bag on Isaiah's desk. Move. Isaiah looked up. My desk. Curtis laughed. Everything around here my desk. Monique walked over. Problem? Curtis answered before Isaiah could. He got an attitude. Monique looked directly at Isaiah. You got something to say? No. Good. She tossed another folder onto his desk. I need this done before lunch. Isaiah opened it. This says 47 vendor contracts. Can you count too? I can. Then get started. Angela whispered after Monique walked away. She normally gives people a week for those. Isaiah looked at the clock. I've got 3 hours. Angela sighed. They setting you up. Isaiah smiled softly. We'll see. Across the room, Monique watched him. Curtis leaned against her desk. You think he'll quit? He better. What if he don't? Monique's smile slowly faded. Then we'll give him a reason. And neither of them realized that the quiet man they were trying so hard to break had walked into Easton Freight Solutions with a purpose far bigger than simply keeping a job. They thought they were testing the newest employee. They had no idea he had been quietly testing all of them. Isaiah didn't say another word after hearing Monique and Curtis whisper across the office. He simply opened the first vendor contract, then the second, then the third. By the time most employees returned from lunch, carrying takeout bags and iced coffee, every single contract had been reviewed, corrected, and uploaded. Angela walked over with her sandwich still in her hand. No way. Isaiah looked up. You finished? I believe so. She flipped through the files. Every page had color-coded notes. Missing signatures were highlighted. Expired agreements were separated. Duplicate invoices were listed on a separate sheet. Angela slowly lowered the folder. You did all this by yourself? I had plenty of time. Plenty? You said I had 3 hours. She laughed. You got jokes. Before Isaiah could answer, Monique stormed out of her office. I need those contracts. Isaiah handed them over. They're completed. Monique glanced through the pages. For just a moment, she couldn't hide her surprise. Then she slammed the folder shut. You missed something. Isaiah remained calm. What was it? I'll find it. She walked away. Curtis smirked. She always finds something. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, Monique marched back carrying a single sheet. You forgot to staple this page. Isaiah looked at it. It was scanned into the digital file. I said you forgot to staple it. My mistake. Angela couldn't believe what she was hearing. A missing staple? That was the mistake? Monique looked around the office. Attention, everybody. The room fell quiet. This is why details matter. She held up the paper. One small mistake can cost this company millions. Curtis nodded dramatically. Facts. Isaiah simply picked up the paper. I'll fix it. Monique frowned. She wanted an argument. Instead, she got composure. That bothered her more than anger ever could. Later that afternoon, Leonard rolled his chair over. You know why she's doing this? I have an idea. Because you don't react. Isaiah smiled. I've noticed. People like Monique feed off reactions. So if I don't give her one, Leonard nodded. She'll keep pushing until you do. Isaiah looked across the room. Monique was already watching him. The second their eyes met, she looked away. The next week became a pattern. Every morning, more work landed on Isaiah's desk. Projects other people had abandoned. Reports with impossible deadlines. Vendor disputes nobody wanted. Every evening, he finished them. Without complaining, without asking for help, without missing deadlines. Soon other departments started noticing. One afternoon, a manager from accounting walked into operations. Who's Isaiah Brooks? Isaiah raised his hand. That's me. I wanted to thank you. For what? The inventory issue. I just corrected the numbers. You saved us from paying nearly $200,000 twice. The office became silent. Accounting smiled. You caught something none of us noticed. Before Isaiah could respond, Monique stepped in. We appreciate that. The manager nodded. You've got a great team. Thank you. As soon as the visitor left, Monique turned toward Isaiah. My office. The door shut behind them. She folded her arms. You like making me look bad? No. Then why you talking directly to other departments? They came to me. You redirect them to me. Understood. She leaned closer. I don't care how smart you are. I hear you. No. She pointed toward the floor. I need you to hear me. This is my department, my reputation, my rules. Isaiah looked her in the eyes. I understand. She searched his face. Still, nothing. No fear, no frustration, no attitude, just calm. She hated that look. You can go. As Isaiah walked back to his cubicle, Curtis immediately stood. What happened? Isaiah sat down. Nothing. Curtis laughed. That means she chewed you out. If you say so. Curtis looked disappointed again. You ain't fun. Across the room, Angela whispered to Leonard. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get under Monique's skin just by being polite. Leonard chuckled. Me neither. Friday morning brought another surprise. Monique walked through the office carrying a thick black folder. She stopped at Isaiah's desk. I've got something special for you. Curtis grinned. Oh, Lord. Monique placed the folder down. Our regional supplier audit. Angela's eyes widened. She quietly mouthed, Don't. Isaiah opened the folder. This is confidential. It is. It usually goes to senior analysts. It does. So why me? Monique smiled. Think of it as an opportunity. Isaiah nodded. I appreciate the trust. Monique almost laughed. Trust? That wasn't what this was. She already had another plan forming. Over the next 3 days, Isaiah worked carefully through the audit. Every invoice, every shipment, every warehouse report, something caught his attention. Numbers weren't matching, not because of missing money, because approvals had been altered. Certain performance scores had changed after employees submitted them. Vendor complaints disappeared from the system. Promotion recommendations had been edited. Isaiah frowned. That wasn't normal. He quietly saved notes inside his personal notebook. Not accusation, just observations. Meanwhile, Curtis watched from across the room. He asking too many questions. Monique kept typing. I know. He already noticed some files. I know. So what we doing? She looked toward Denise Cooper. Denise had worked administrative records for almost 12 years. Quiet. Efficient. Invisible. Exactly how she liked it. Monique lowered her voice. He's using temporary credentials, right? Denise nodded. Yes. They're shared through the audit server. They are. Monique smiled. Perfect. Denise hesitated. You sure? You scared? No. Then handle it. Denise looked uncomfortable. This one feels different. Curtis laughed. He just another temp. Monique nodded. Exactly. The following evening, Isaiah stayed late. Almost everyone had gone home. Angela packed her laptop. You coming? In a little while. You work too much. He smiled. So I've been told. She hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why you stay so calm? Isaiah looked toward the city lights outside. My grandfather used to tell me something. What? When people keep trying to shake your tree, don't become the fruit that falls. Angela laughed. I like that. He also said angry decisions usually become expensive decisions. She smiled. I wish more people thought like that. As she headed toward the elevator, she turned back. Have a good night, Isaiah. You too. He returned to the audit. About 20 minutes later, the office lights dimmed automatically. Isaiah gathered his things and headed home. The floor looked empty, but it wasn't. Inside a dark office, Curtis sat behind a computer. Denise stood beside him nervously. You got 5 minutes, she whispered. Curtis cracked his knuckles. That's all I need. He plugged in a flash drive. Isaiah's temporary credentials appeared on the screen. Denise looked toward the hallway. I don't like this. Curtis kept typing. Relax. What if IT catches it? They won't. You don't know that. He stopped typing long enough to look at her. You want Monique thinking you getting soft? Denise swallowed. No. Then lock the door. She slowly did. On the monitor, restricted executive files began opening one after another. Client contracts, legal correspondence, confidential financial reports, files Isaiah had never even seen. Curtis intentionally copied several documents. Then he deleted security logs he thought would hide the activity. He smiled proudly. There. Denise looks sick. We should go. Curtis removed the flash drive. Tomorrow? He grinned. Our quiet little genius gonna wish he never walked through those doors. If you've been enjoying the story so far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Have you ever worked under a boss who always blamed everyone else? Your answer might surprise somebody reading the comments. The next morning started like every other. At least, for the first 5 minutes, then the elevator doors opened. 3 people stepped out. One wore an HR badge. The other 2 wore company security jackets. They weren't smiling. And every eye on the 14th floor turned toward Isaiah as they walked straight in his direction. The conversations around the office faded into an uneasy silence as the 2 security officers stopped beside Isaiah's desk. The HR representative, a woman in her early 50s named Rochelle Evans, cleared her throat. Isaiah Brooks? Yes, ma'am. I need you to come with us. Angela immediately stood up. What's going on? Rochelle answered without looking at her. This is a confidential HR matter. Curtis leaned back in his chair, pretending to look surprised. Man, that's crazy. Monique slowly stepped out of her office. She folded her arms. I'm disappointed. Isaiah looked at her. For what? You know exactly what you did. I'm afraid I don't. Rochelle placed a folder on his desk. Your employee credentials were used to access restricted executive files last night. Isaiah didn't even blink. I wasn't here. Our records say otherwise. I understand. Curtis laughed under his breath. Told y'all, quiet ones be sneaky. Angela shook her head. That's a lie. Monique turned sharply. Angela, unless you'd like to join him, I suggest you remain seated. Angela looked at Isaiah. I'm sorry. He smiled softly. You don't have anything to apologize for. Rochelle spoke again. Your badge has been deactivated effective immediately. Isaiah nodded once. May I collect my belongings? Yes. He calmly packed the same coffee mug, the notebook, the family picture, and the charger. No arguments, no shouting, no begging. That calmness made Monique strangely uncomfortable. She expected tears. Instead, she got peace. As Isaiah reached the elevator, Leonard called out, Young man. Isaiah turned. Leonard slowly stood from his desk. I've been here almost 30 years. He extended his hand. I've never seen anybody carry themselves the way you have. Isaiah shook it firmly. Thank you, Mr. Green. Leonard smiled. I got a feeling this ain't the end of your story. Isaiah smiled back. No, sir, it isn't. The elevator doors closed. 5 minutes later, Isaiah stepped outside the building and placed the cardboard box on a nearby bench. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He tapped one contact. The call was answered before the first ring finished. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Avery. Isaiah looked back at the building. I need you to initiate phase 1. The voice on the other end immediately changed tone. Has it happened? Exactly as expected. What are your instructions? Freeze every digital record connected to operations. Done. Notify the board. Yes, sir. Contact outside auditors. Already preparing. Isaiah paused. And no one connected to that department leaves the building until legal arrives. There was a brief silence. Then, understood, Mr. Avery. I'll see everyone upstairs. He ended the call. Across the street, Angela happened to be looking through the lobby windows. She frowned. Who was he talking to? Before she could think about it any longer, every employee in the building received the same notification. Mandatory company-wide meeting. Attendance required immediately. Curtis looked around. What now? Monique frowned. This wasn't scheduled. 20 minutes later, hundreds of employees gathered inside the company atrium. People whispered. What's going on? Is this about the data breach? Did somebody hack us? On the stage stood several members of the board. Then an older gentleman walked to the podium. The room immediately became quiet. Everyone knew him. Malcolm Avery, founder and executive chairman of Easton Freight Solutions. He smiled warmly. Good afternoon, everyone. I know this meeting came without notice, so I'll get straight to the point. He paused. For the last 3 months, this company has been conducting an independent leadership assessment. Employees looked at one another. Leadership assessment? Malcolm continued. My late wife used to tell me that if you want to know the truth about your home, don't ask the people decorating the front porch. Walk into the kitchen. A few employees smiled. So I sent someone into our kitchen. Monique's stomach tightened. Malcolm looked toward the side of the stage. I'd like everyone to welcome my son, Isaiah Avery. The entire room froze. Gasps echoed across the atrium. Curtis's mouth slowly fell open. Angela covered hers with both hands. Leonard simply smiled. I knew it. Isaiah walked onto the stage wearing the exact same clothes he had been fired in less than an hour earlier. He placed the cardboard box beside the podium, then looked across the crowd. His eyes eventually stopped on Monique. She couldn't even look back. Isaiah spoke calmly. 3 months ago, my father gave me one assignment. Learn who our people really are. Not through reports, not through meetings, but by standing beside them. He looked around the room. I met incredible people. He smiled toward Angela and Leonard. People who worked hard, people who stayed late, people who believed this company could be better. His expression slowly changed. And I also met people who confused authority with intimidation. The room became silent again. The company's chief legal officer stepped forward. My name is Daniel Price. Our investigation confirms that Isaiah Avery did not access restricted executive files. A large screen lit up behind him. Security footage. Computer login records. Digital timestamps. Daniel continued. The activity originated from another workstation. Curtis's breathing became heavy. Daniel clicked another slide. The workstation assigned to Curtis Bell. The crowd erupted. Curtis stood. That's a lie. Daniel calmly replied, please sit down. Another image appeared. Security camera footage. Curtis entering the office after hours. Denise unlocking the door. The timestamps matched perfectly. Daniel spoke again. Additionally, our investigation uncovered manipulated performance reviews, stolen project credits, buried employee complaints, and repeated retaliation against staff members over the last 4 years. Another slide appeared. Approval records, electronic signatures, manager authorizations. Every trail led back to one person, Monique Harris. She whispered, no. Daniel looked directly toward her. Ms. Harris, you are hereby terminated for cause, effective immediately. Security officers quietly approached. Curtis looked toward Monique. Say something. She couldn't. Denise lowered her head. Tears rolled down her face. I shouldn't have listened. Isaiah finally spoke again. Nobody standing here is losing a job because they made one mistake. He looked directly at Monique. You're losing it because you made the same choice over and over again. He turned toward everyone else. I also want to say something to those who stayed silent. Angela lowered her eyes. I understand why. You were protecting your families, your paychecks, your futures. I'm not here to punish survival. I'm here to end the reason survival became necessary. Several employees quietly wiped away tears. Isaiah continued. Effective today, we're eliminating the current performance review system. There will be independent promotion reviews, a confidential reporting line that bypasses department management, and every complaint will receive an outside review. The room slowly filled with applause. It started with Leonard, then Angela, then another employee. Within seconds, the entire atrium stood clapping, not because Isaiah had inherited the company, because for the first time in years, someone had finally listened. As security escorted Monique and Curtis away, Curtis looked back. You planned all this. Isaiah shook his head. No, you did. After the meeting ended, employees slowly gathered around Isaiah. Angela smiled nervously. So, you ain't exactly a temp. Isaiah laughed. I guess not. She shook her head. You know how many times I almost told you to quit? I know. I'm glad you didn't. Leonard walked over carrying Isaiah's old coffee mug. You forgot something. Isaiah accepted it with a smile. Thank you. Leonard looked around the building. I've worked here 28 years. This is the first day this place actually feels different. Isaiah nodded. Now comes the hard part. What's that? Earning everybody's trust. That evening, Isaiah walked into the executive office for the very first time. His father was already there, looking out over the city skyline. Malcolm turned around. So, what did you learn? Isaiah gently placed the old coffee mug on his new desk. He looked at the cardboard box sitting beside it. Then he smiled. I learned that buildings don't make companies. His father nodded. What does? Isaiah looked back toward the busy floors below. The people. And if you protect the right people, they'll protect the company. Malcolm smiled proudly. Your mother would have loved hearing that. Isaiah quietly looked at the old family picture before setting it beside the mug. The same picture that had been tossed across the lobby floor only hours earlier now rested in the office where every major decision would be made, not as a reminder of revenge, but as a reminder of responsibility, because real leadership isn't about sitting in the biggest office. It's about making sure the newest employee never has to survive a workplace just to earn the chance to succeed. If this story reminded you that integrity always outlasts intimidation, take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Isaiah's shoes, walk away quietly, or fight to change the system? Your answer might inspire someone else.